Hello, and welcome to Global Finance Desk. We'll explore practical ideas to help you. I'm glad you're here. Let's learn together.
A McDonald's can be busy all day, and the company whose name is on the building may not be the one running the kitchen. That sounds strange, but it is the key to understanding how McDonald's actually makes money, because the burger is only the transaction you can see. Behind it is a business model built around contracts, recurring payments, real estate, and a brand designed to make the same purchase happen again and again. And the deeper you look, the less McDonald's starts to resemble a traditional restaurant company.
Start with one location. A customer pulls into the drive-thru. They order a meal. Money changes hands. At first, it looks simple, but that sale is happening inside a much larger arrangement. At a conventional franchised McDonald's, the franchisee is responsible for operating the restaurant. They hire employees, manage the staff, buy supplies, maintain the restaurant, serve the customers, and carry much of the day-to-day operating risk. McDonald's provides something different: the brand, the operating system, the franchise rights, and, in conventional franchise arrangements, the restaurant facility and underlying real estate. In exchange, McDonald's receives payments under the franchise agreement and lease, including rent and royalties tied to restaurant sales. Now the economics change. McDonald's doesn't need to personally operate that kitchen to benefit from the activity happening inside it. The franchisee runs the restaurant. The customer creates the sale, and McDonald's participates through the long-term relationship surrounding that restaurant.
There is a question hiding underneath this. Why would McDonald's care so much about the location? Because the location isn't just where the burger is sold. In conventional franchise arrangements, it can also be part of the economic relationship itself. McDonald's generally owns or holds the lease on the property and leases the restaurant to the franchisee. The franchisee operates the business there. The arrangement generally lasts for around 20 years. So McDonald's can have a long-term economic connection to the same physical location. Think about what that means. A customer sees a building. A franchisee sees a restaurant. McDonald's can see a location tied to a contract that can generate revenue over many years. And that is where the business model becomes unusual. The food creates sales. Sales support the franchisee. Those sales can generate royalties for McDonald's. The property arrangement can generate rent, and the brand helps bring customers back. One restaurant, several connected sources of economic value.
The numbers show how important this structure is. At the end of 2025, McDonald's had 45,356 restaurants worldwide, with roughly 95% franchised. So the company isn't primarily building a world where McDonald's Corporation operates every restaurant itself. It has built a network in which independent operators run the overwhelming majority of locations under the McDonald's system. And that changes the company's economics. Operating thousands of restaurants directly would mean McDonald's would carry much more of the labor, food, equipment, and day-to-day operating costs itself. Franchising shifts much of that responsibility to the franchisee. McDonald's instead earns revenue from the relationship. And in 2025, that relationship generated a very large number. McDonald's reported $16.55 billion in revenue from franchised restaurants. Approximately $10.44 billion came from rent. About $6.02 billion came from royalties.
Notice what those numbers don't represent. They aren't the total amount customers spent at every McDonald's. They represent revenue recognized by McDonald's from its franchised restaurant relationships. That distinction is the entire story. McDonald's isn't simply trying to sell you a burger itself. It has created a structure where thousands of independently operated restaurants can generate revenue for the broader company. Then there is the asset underneath the restaurant. At the end of 2025, McDonald's reported $22.8 billion of net property and equipment under franchise arrangements, including about $7.1 billion of land. Now the golden arches start looking different, because the value isn't only in what happens at the counter. It can also exist in what sits underneath the counter: the location, the lease, the franchise agreement, the brand, and the customer habit that keeps the entire structure producing sales.
That last part is easy to underestimate. McDonald's doesn't need to convince you what it is every time you see the arches. You already know. You recognize the menu. You know what a Big Mac is. You know what a McFlurry is. You know what to expect from the drive-thru. That familiarity reduces uncertainty. And when people are hungry, busy, traveling, or simply don't want to think very hard about where to eat, familiarity becomes valuable. The customer isn't consciously thinking about the franchise model. They don't need to. The brand has already removed much of the decision-making, and that makes the restaurant easier to return to, which creates repeat sales, which creates more sales for the franchisee, which can generate more royalty revenue for McDonald's. The psychology feeds the economics.
But habit alone isn't enough. The system has to work at enormous scale. And this is where standardization becomes important. McDonald's doesn't need every restaurant to invent its own identity. The same recognizable brand can appear across thousands of locations. The same basic operating principles can be taught to franchisees. Same menu architecture can be reproduced. The same technology and systems can support the customer experience. That makes the business easier to replicate, and replication is what turns one successful restaurant into a global network.
But there is an important detail here. Not every McDonald's location has exactly the same ownership or contractual structure. The company also has company-operated restaurants, developmental licensees, and affiliates. The economics can vary depending on the arrangement and market. So the real story isn't that McDonald's has one secret source of money. It doesn't. The power comes from combining several ordinary economic relationships. A restaurant generates sales. A franchise agreement creates recurring payments. A property can generate rent. A recognizable brand encourages repeat purchases. And a standardized system makes the model scalable. Put all of those together, and one restaurant becomes much more than a place that sells food. It becomes a node inside a larger economic network. That is why the question, how much money does McDonald's make from a burger, is actually the wrong question. The more interesting question is what happens around the burger. A customer buys lunch. A franchisee operates a business. A restaurant generates sales. McDonald's can collect royalties. The property arrangement can generate rent. And the brand gives the customer a reason to come back. The customer experiences one transaction. McDonald's has built a system around thousands of them. That is the hidden business model. The burger is what you buy, but the recurring relationships around that burger are where the deeper economics live. So the next time you see a McDonald's, don't just look at the menu. Look at the building. Look at the location. Look at the franchise relationship. And look at how many times that same customer can return. Because the real question isn't whether McDonald's can make money selling one burger, it is whether one location can keep generating economic value long after that burger is gone. And that is exactly what the business was designed to do.
Welcome to your financial future. Together we can build your fund. Let's track your progress. Subscribe now and let's get started. Just click the button today.